This is all like very like spontaneous, which it is overall. And I really like that the two of us look at this together on this top level of what we actually observed in numbers, like in monitoring these indicators on a land that we're both not at home, but we have been here in different seasons, and we've done the whole monitoring on Saturday together. So this is now just a report of the top level, and there will be in the next like tomorrow I probably put together like on an individual monitoring site level the details more, but we basically look at what we can see at the top level and what might have happened here. The first thing that I want to do is like the quick summary, but we basically get into the why of this, like observations are in the summary. But one thing is like we are 3 weeks earlier than last year in the monitoring. We always try to monitor within like plus minus 4 weeks so that it hits the same season, but we know here seasons are quicker.
Yeah.
While there's still like ongoing summer in Central Southern Europe, here everything's preparing. Everything feels like autumn, like preparing. So this might have had an influence on why we see more health or like more aliveness, for example, than last year.
Yeah.
And that is all that we want to do in the ecological monitoring with EOV or like in similar frameworks is we go to a very similar data point or date in time, and then we observe, and then we write down what we observe, and then afterwards we get the context, and afterwards we get this might be the reason why. So not while standing outside there being like, oh yeah, we're like 3 weeks earlier, maybe I should judge differently, score differently. It's like, no, we score against the potential, the full potential of this region, and then afterwards we bring in the what kind of management happened here, what do we actually want to see come to life, like what climatic reasons could there be for bigger changes in a way.
So while outside it's all about observation.
Yes.
You don't have judgments or assumptions or conclusions.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's what I see often when going out with people who want to get trained in, or farmers who just walk with me the whole day. It's a lot about they immediately jump to conclusions, and we're trying through this process make very clear, transparent. We're observing what we see. We're not judging. We're not making these assumptions, or like, oh yeah, because I seeded this here, or because I used this structure there, or because I didn't do this there. This is why. That's all happening afterwards. So that is partly within this, but mostly comes out then of a conversation that when seeing these numbers, being like, hey, what happened here? Like, why is this field so much better, for example?
Okay. And is this the reason of this meeting, this gathering? Like, what's the point of this current chat here? Like, sharing the observations from the land and something else?
And like seeing what comes out of this.
Okay.
So because we didn't have the land manager with us,
yes,
a couple of the information, like when the last grazing or things happened, was not part of it.
Okay.
But it's mostly just sharing and then trying to make sense of it together.
Okay.
In a way, because that then concludes in next steps for the management.
Okay.
And as a friend of us said, for example, like, what if I don't want, like, I'm happy with these plants over there, like, I don't want to optimize this field. It's like, absolute. We just monitored and scored against what has been, or like has been defined, or has been is seen as maybe the optimal state or habitat in this ecoregion. But what you want to do with this field in the side, it's all up to you.
Okay.
So if you want to do crop rotation, if you want to have no trees at all, if you have it all trees at all, that is basically has first nothing to do with our monitoring, but then all with the making context clues and and then defining next steps.
Okay.
So I had, for example, I have land managers who have arable land, and they're like, yeah, we're gonna eradicate it every other year, but we want to see in the years where we let it rest or where we have cover crops or whatever it is, if more aliveness comes back. So even knowing that they don't do the very best for the ecosystem there, they're like, okay, right now I still want these crops and I still want this kind of production, but I still want to get to know if it's really damaging the health or if it's within this practice at least acceptable for right now, for my context and everything that comes with this. Yeah. So that was basically the preface of this whole. And why I said this like preface in a way is this because I saw that this feels so much healthier expression of the ecosystem this year than last year. And I was wondering why that was when I started to put it together, not having dived deep yet into it. And I was like, okay, 3 weeks earlier, might have been. Last year was all rain, so it might have been way more like compaction showing, water standing showing than this year, maybe. But there was also definitely some like way more aliveness in the life canopy abundance, what we say, like the standing, photosynthesizing, healthy plants. There was just way more aliveness in that as well. And one thing I observed is like, last year the scoring of trees and shrubs was way worse than this year. And that's made me wonder, was there a mistake in the data?
Okay.
So typical things like when humans are at work, there might be mistakes. So I will go back into the data of 2024 and look at my notes around it. Like, why did I score trees and shrubs so much worse than this year? Because they must have been there as well.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Okay. So that's basically something I didn't get to right now to dive into that part yet. Okay. So overall, last year was the baseline year. So that's why I didn't fill out last year here, because last year was the baseline year.
Okay.
Normally we will always look at 3 years in the information. And with we, I mean the way I do it, or the way some people around me or people I work with, also the Hungarian hub, how we do it is looking at the baseline, but then always having 2 years, like the last year and the current year, in comparison. Because that gives us an information compared to the very, very start, how are we doing? But then also exactly these data points of like last year to this year. Is there an improvement? Is there a decrease in the values? Because if I measure last year 19 in the Ecological Health Index, I have no idea is that good or bad.
Okay.
Because we're not measuring this against a field over there, this farmer over there, or something else. We look at the place against itself and what trend line is it on. Does it stay stable? Is it going up, improving health? Is it declining health? So 19, I can only say, okay, there is an okay functioning of the ecosystem processes. But if that means the year before it was better or worse,
nobody knows.
No. And that's why this year is so interesting, because it's year 1.
Okay.
And we can first see that when last year we had overall 10 monitoring sites, we have an average of a 19 for the Ecological Health Index. And that means we have quite good, like regular ecosystem process function, like a health in the system. There is some deviation from the potential, but it's not degenerating. So there was good functioning of the ecosystem processes. This year, we have like more than double, basically. So we are on a like way stronger regenerative path. It seems, just from what we measured on the average for the whole land base. And that gives me like, okay, there is positive processes at work. And now like diving into like, what is it?
What are they?
Exactly. The other layer that is also included then is breaking it down to the 4 ecosystem processes: the water cycle, the cycling of minerals, the energy flow, and the community dynamics. Like have we improved in one of these ecosystem processes? Or like, where is maybe something that could be interesting to focus on?
What do you mean interesting to focus on?
So once we have this full report with all the details, all the different sites, all like this in-depth numbers, it's a lot. So the next question then always is like, hey, you as a land manager, what are you excited about? What are you interested in? What do you like to focus on?
Okay.
Like, not trying to save everything and solve everything at the same time, but you could focus on improving a water cycle, improving one of these ecosystem processes. And maybe the water cycle excites you the most. Or you are in this very humid environment and you say like, actually water cycle, I don't want to look too much at, but these community dynamics, the diversity we have, the different age structures we have, the different functional groups of grasses, forests and legumes, trees and shrubs, that's something that I want to look at.
So it's a very personal choice.
Yes.
Could it be also based on what that land manager is aiming to do on that land? I am interested in grazing, so I want to focus on this and this because it will help my animals thrive. I don't know.
It could be. So when we're coming basically to another layer, I'm just going to quickly go forward. When we're coming on this layer, we actually see the different indicators that we scored, that we monitored. It might be that the land manager says, oh, my weak link in my production currently is I don't have enough forage. Or not good forage. So I really want to focus on improving my grasses, for example. And then you would say like, okay, let's pick one indicator while not forgetting about the other indicators, but being like, what could you do to improve that so the whole ecosystem improves? And therefore also your economy improves and hopefully also your social and happiness. But exactly. So it is very context dependent on, do I want to have one of the ecosystem processes as my North Star or my guideline for next year's management and tools? Do I want to focus on one of the indicators or some of the indicators to be like, oh, I get an idea of how I could improve that? Or do I want to look at one of the fields, being like, okay, I know that at the clear cut, for example, I will not do much the next 12 months, but the fields close to the house or the ones down by the cabin, for example, this is where I have the animals. This is where I will have them next year as well, for sure. So I want to more focus on like what happens on these fields. And does actually the way I manage the animals improve these sites? Because then I can also, again, like focus my energy, my work time on something and see if it's worth it. Because if I tell you, oh yeah, fencing and moving the animals every day at least once is really good, and so you might say, but I don't have time to do all this big fencing of the whole area all the time and move out. But I could do it on one side. And I'm like, let's do it on one side and see if the benefit you're getting there is really good for like the hours you put in there.
Okay, clear.
So yeah, so basically, like I said, the observations is first just the observations, but what we make out of it is very dependent on your personal context. So we have an improvement in the ecological health index overall that is quite strong. And we have an improvement in the different ecosystem processes. And the strongest like switch or like state change is in the community dynamics. That means looking at the different functional groups of grasses, forbs, legumes, trees and shrubs, the undesirables and the contextually desirable plants. There has been something that happened. The health increased there significantly in a way. So that's the top layer, which is first like, oh, okay, exciting. There is something, processes at work. And then the next overview is basically going for the 10 different sites that we monitored. And like, what was our value at the baseline last year? and what was this year's value, to also get just a first overview, like, oh, where happened what, in a way. And one thing that is for us that we say, like, oh, we didn't monitor the old site number 2.
Yes.
Because that's where the new septic tank is.
Yes.
So we moved that site basically a bit further and called it site number 11.
Yes.
And basically have a new site introduced, but have 9 other sites where we have the baseline value and this year's value to look at.
Yeah.
Is this something that you would notice when you look at this?
Yes, I notice an overall improvement, except at the clear cut up 1. The value is lower this year and slightly lower, almost same at clear cut down 2, but an overall improvement. That's what I realized. I noticed.
There's one, the boggy forest, that went
wow, I didn't see that.
from 50 to 0.
Wow. And
so that is like one of these.
Which site was that?
That was before we got up here, the last one down there where normally the water is standing, and it was dominated by not meadowsweet, but the other one.
The other one, yes. The rose.
Yeah, the kind of rose that's like small leaf rose, but meadow rose that I don't know the English name of at the moment. So there is something that you can see on this overview already. Okay, most of it is tending positive or just slight deviations. But if there's a 5-point deviation, it might just be our daily form in a way. But if there's bigger deviations, like 15 or plus points, you're like, oh no, that is significant. And if there's something like a 50, it's like, what happened there? Is this correct? Is the first question for me. Did I make just the number typing mistake? And then the second question is, if it's true, what is it? Like, why? Yeah. And maybe it's fine. Like, maybe it's totally okay that it's this way. And we just leave it. Yeah. But it is something we were like, oh, okay, we definitely want to look a bit more into site 10. Yeah. If we want to get to it.
So you double checked and the score is
I didn't double check
correct?
It yet.
Okay.
But we can look on the next 2 pages, like where the deviation is. Yeah. Because 10-point deviation, I do know that the trees and shrubs I know that from a lot of these have a bit of a 10-point deviation in them because of the different scoring of the trees and shrubs. Yes. So that's what I know. But 50 points, even if I get 10 points away for the trees and shrubs might have been better. 40 points deviation. Okay, there are some processes at work. Maybe they're going in the right direction. Maybe that is just a middle stage. Okay. But it's something to observe. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. That's the other interesting thing, just like another side note, is what we often observe is that after the baseline in year 1, it improves quite strongly, and then in year 2, it drops again. Okay. So that first the land reacts to whatever change we do in a very positive jump, and then there is often a lowering again. And this dip that comes in year 2, that's mostly dependent on management. If it's a deeper dip or like a shallow, just an observation. That's very interesting. So, all right. So we know, okay, we want to look at site 10 a bit more, but overall it seems there is improvement in this. So we're diving basically from the average of the whole land base to the view of the total ecological health index per site, and now diving into what are the different indicators doing. So basically going always one layer deeper a bit to get an idea of what's happening. And this color coding gives us, because we humans like patterns and we see in patterns, gives us a first indication, okay, where is something not dark green? Like where's a deviation from the full potential? Well, like the darker green is like being at the potential. And the more it gets yellow and dark orange, the more deviation.
Okay.
Is
Being in the potential meaning there is regeneration, and deviation means there's regression or.
No, it doesn't mean regression. It's just this side and this indicator is not at the potential for this ecoregion.
Okay.
While still, like the process could be it improved. Like something that is like maybe in orange or like in yellow could be already an improvement from last year.
Okay.
So that's basically just this moment in time.
Okay.
And then bringing it into like this timeline gives us then an indication, does it go overall and does it stay the same? Does it go up? Does it go down? We'll see, basically.
That's an interesting coding system, because my first instinct would be to see the greens as an improvement and the opposite for the orange. It's not instinctive to say it's compared to the full potential.
Yeah, and the next level I think would be very interesting to have this color coding on this level compared to the last year. Because right now the color coding is just to that value that we got. Okay. Which basically shows us, is it regenerating, or are there processes at work that are for the regenerating of that side? Or are there processes at work that, if not managed for or like not managed with, would lead to more like degenerating processes?
Okay.
So yeah, so the color does say, I was like, wait, there is something wrong there. But if it's wrong in also the timeline wrong compared to last year, we don't know until we know in which direction. But for example here, okay, we know life canopy, which is the green photosynthesizing plants. Yeah. It's overall, most of the sites have positive processes at work.
Yes.
Some have more like the zeros are more like staying, like what we would have called sustainable, like it stays basically the same, and one that seems to go down.
Yeah.
But seems to go down means then, once we have this, we can look at what last year we had. And normally, like on a PC, I can click like left, right very quickly, and then you see basically the color change.
Yes.
And here we had in some sites way more live canopy abundance.
Yeah.
But also some sites that was really low.
Okay.
And then we have here like, they all seem like more than half have now like a positive, like close to potential expression of this live canopy. One is deviating into like below potential, and
there's a reason behind.
And is there a practice to, for instance, add up all this live canopy abundance across different sites, different fields? So here I see like 10, 15, 20, if I remember, like if I add them up right, and then compare that with the sum of, last year. Is that a practice?
I did not see it yet, and no one asked for it yet. So it could be something, obviously, that we could also just sum up or like make an average on these, or just sum up. Like we have basically the overall, we could also do this by indicator.
It will be interesting to see like live canopy abundance last year was, I don't know, the average, as you say, 5, and this year is like, 10, whatever.
Well, right now it's like plus 25, like 10, 30 minus 5 is 25. And last year it was 10.
25 again.
10, 15.
10, 15, 25. 15, yeah. Okay, so better, one may say, okay.
Yeah, so it's like an overall, like slightly better. And here we see also last year that I judged a lot of minus 10s with the trees and shrubs. And I don't know why I did that. So that's immediately, like normally before coming to you guys, I would definitely check the data, because this seems for me like there was a mistake.
Yes.
It might not, in a way. I might have been, but this is the other thing, is these indicators are calibrated. So once we know what the full potential is, it might like, someone said like, did a land base ever reach full potential? And like, no, because then we know that more is possible, and then you would calibrate again.
Okay.
But you would also notice like, hey, we did a calibration this year and it goes up. But this is from me. I'm like, I would definitely look into this. Yeah.
Would you, before coming
Yes.
this year, do you usually look at what you scored this land last year? Like, do you look at your previous year's scoring before you come to this
No.
place? You don't.
I don't.
Yeah.
I do get familiar. I'm kind of, no, it's in here. What I do is familiarize myself with the matrix again, the EHI matrix, and seeing like, okay, how are things scored here? What kind of key indicator species are in these different functional groups that we want to find? What I do is sometimes take in the photos of the year, but mostly so I actually get the right direction. Because that is often with our smaller farms, it's the trickier part. We're often so close to a fence line or 2 trees or something that just like a slight deviation of 1 degree can totally get the photos asynchronous. And then we want to try to get them mostly aligned in a way. So that's what I normally do. Then I don't look at the scoring I give. I just basically know, has there been some bigger calibration that happened for our practice within a hub or within a region. But I don't look at the numbers because I don't want to get biased. And it's mostly my thing when
Makes sense, yeah.
when I get to sites or to land bases, and then I monitor, and I monitor normally very conservative. And then afterwards I'm always a little sad already because I feel like I judge him so hard, and I know the hard work they're doing on their farm, and then I look at the numbers like, oh, they actually improved. So that's the nice effect of it. But no, I don't look before. I know some others do, but I don't. So that's why when I see something like this afterwards, when putting the numbers together, I would then start and check. Was there a mistake with the scoring of the trees and shrubs? So yeah, so we picked out one site that we wanted to look at, which was the boggy forest.
Yes.
And last year it was like sort of okay-ish. I mean, let's just quickly highlight it so we actually have some indication what we're looking at. So we have this one, and we have here the boggy forest as this one, and we basically have here 50 minus 5, for example, and here it's already like in living organisms and in cool season grasses. It had a way better expression than this year. And so this year it seemed to have less expression. Living organisms, I don't know. I feel like, okay, living organisms, all of them we have here, like to use the sum up method. We had 20 points this year. Last year it was 15 points. So overall it didn't seem like there was much change. Maybe slightly, but not like within the fields, but not overall. The cool season grasses last year we had 20 points summed up. Most sites scored with 0, meaning like 50-60% of the potential. And this year we had some that got up, and we had the boggy forest that got down.
Okay.
So then it might be our conclusion, well, is this okay? Well, we called it the boggy forest out of a reason, that monitoring point. Last year there was a lot of standing water in it. One of these plants, like not the meadowsweet, but the other one, did very well this year again, but the grasses didn't.
Yes.
So maybe there is some process that is compacting or making the soil very anaerobic, that the grasses that have been there are not thriving anymore.
Mm.
The forbs and legumes was this year a 0, and last year it actually was a +10.
Mm-hmm.
So there is some process going on that kind of simplifies what we see, because we're getting not rid, but like all these different functional groups are not thriving as much as they could. And the question is, okay, is this a wanted process?
Mm-hmm.
Is this a process that actually leads to health? And what do we actually want to do with that site in the boggy forest? When we look further, we have like the trees and shrubs, like I said before, like this seems like this year it was a 5, last year -10. There might have been a higher scoring. We have litter abundance and here, like litter abundance and decomposition 0 last year. We had 0 and 5, that also seems very similar. We had bare ground last year, no bare ground. We had like very good cover, so it was 20, which means basically 0% of bare ground, like less than 1% of bare ground. And this year we had 0. So there is,
Yes.
just with this indicator, which is one of the strongest that we have, there's a strong difference.
Yeah. What do you mean one of the strongest indicators?
So this indicator next to the 2 erosion ones
Yeah.
goes from -20 to +20 because it affects all ecosystem processes. While a lot of the others, like living canopy abundance, goes mostly for the energy flow, the grasses, forbs and legumes, and so forth, they go a lot to the community dynamics, not only, but mostly to community dynamics. Like, so like most of these indicators, especially ones that range between -10 and +10, affect 2 ecosystem processes. And the ones that have from -20 to +20, or like the 2 erosion ones that go from -20 to 0, these 3 affect all ecosystem processes.
Okay.
And that's why they get a stronger weight in the numbers. And that's why with bare ground, if you avoid bare ground, if you make something to remedy bare ground, you're affecting the whole system directly in all different perspectives of the ecosystem processes.
Okay.
And if bare ground is going up and down, this immediately shifts obviously the whole like average, because it can just like from +20 to -20 or from +20 to 0 does a major shift in the overall average.
Yeah.
And that has this part, the boggy forest, the short-term site number 10, it has now 0 in bare ground, but it came from +20, so there was way more covering the ground in it. The other thing is that capping appeared stronger. And capping is when we have bare ground, how long has it been there? Has it sealed off? Has the soil sealed off basically for rain to infiltrate? And depending on where on the brittleness scale you are, like how the humidity is through the whole year, it can be in this ecoregion that you can always open up the soil with your finger, but water drops would still not be able to penetrate in a way. So on this side, we came from 0 and we ended up this year with -10. Seen through like these low growing mosses and algae that we had on the ground, which again, making context of it, like next step thinking, oh, we see mosses. Is that bad or good? We saw mosses and they're sealing the soil surface. So the water will not go through all the layers of soil to all the plants. We've seen them. And then the next step is this bad or good? And for the ecoregion we're in, with the brittleness of 3 to 4, so like leaning non-brittle, so like good humidity throughout the year, the mosses might be a first step in healing, and like actually bringing diversity back, actually bringing better water infiltration, all this back. While in other parts of Europe, and especially in the higher brittle areas, often this does not just heal itself, it might get worse. And it might get worse from a human perspective. So in the short run, for the next years, decades, 100 years, there might not be any healing happening. And that's the context again. Are we looking here not for, does this landscape heal itself? It's more like, okay, what is our context? How can we help the ecosystem to also maybe induce changes that are happening within a couple of years, or helping go into the direction of a couple of years, and not standing back and like leaving everything and waiting till in 200, 500 years things have regulated in a way that we could work again with the land. So yeah, so right now I feel like, oh, okay, with these two indicators, like the bare ground and the capping, I'm like, yeah, I definitely remember that. And once we have the photos uploaded, we can then also have this visual clue. Be like, that's already like 30 points different.
Yeah.
So the 50 points different that we found in the site from this year to last year makes sense.
Okay.
Or start to make sense. And not being like, this was a mistake. No, it actually, we can see it.
There's a reason.
There's a reason.
I want to see that place on the map now. I'm curious.
We will take you afterwards.
No, just the map is enough. Like if I know where it is. Yeah.
I do have Wi-Fi. I'm not sure if I still have it in maps, but I can just briefly get it. Don't know.
Yeah. I'm not saying you're.
No, yeah, I was just like making like I hadn't put so many hearts on all the places I stayed overnight.
Yes.
Does the land manager have any comments so far or questions?
No comments.
So yeah. So basically here is, so we have the first cabin that comes from this side, and then it's basically down here. So in the area where it starts to get like standing water a lot, when there is a lot of water.
Yep.
And this year we could walk through it and didn't get super wet feet.
Yeah.
Last year we couldn't walk with shoes because we would, I mean, with rubber boots you could walk.
I'm curious now. Was this exact place? Because it's in such a place that it is exactly the edge of the place that is grazed and not grazed. So that's why I'm wondering now, like if you took the... I literally had, and that's such a coincidence, I literally have like a little 20-meter wide stripe here that is ungrazed. Both sides are grazed and that stripe. So I'm wondering if it's in that stripe or not.
Would be interesting because I didn't see I don't remember grazing.
I
Because
was
at that site, yeah.
I'm not the expert here, but I was convinced that area was not grazed.
I can show
But-
you. We can put the layer of my grazing planning on top,
Yes.
and it will be so funny. Like
It would-
paddocks everywhere, but just not here.
Yeah, exactly. Because it didn't look like we walked through a lot of areas that seemed grazed.
Yes,
This part did not.
did not.
Very interesting, and this is very. I mean, I never knew where your SLMs are, STMs are,
Yeah.
and you don't know my grazing plan this year. So it's so funny that it is interesting. Let's just not jump to conclusions, but very interesting.
Yeah, and the cool part is not knowing that also means once we put these two layers together, we suddenly have more information and can be like, oh, these tools that you used
Right.
actually improve the other sites where we looked at, because this whole like health that we felt, or I felt in the area, was like, oh, this could have been just because there was grazing.
Yeah.
But I don't know if there was specifically there where we were was grazing. And when we went up the clear cuts, for example, there was so much deliciousness up there. Like last year, I would have not sent like ruminants that really like grasses up there. And now this year, when we walked and we basically got up here and then walked probably the whole round, like across, there was so much grass. So that the whole idea of maybe this clear cut and then we come back to context, this clear cut should become savanna style. Last year I would have said like, what should the animals actually survive on? Because that's just the tree stumps. And this year I'm like, oh my gosh, there's grasses and forbs and clovers, way less standing water. We could actually move way easier. Here are parts that were not so much healed yet. But this part, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is already could be nice grazing grounds.
Stay tuned for what I did there in just last 12 months. A very mysterious tool.
Yeah.
We're looking forward to hearing
Yes.
it.
But that's the interesting part for me as well, returning to the land. I'm like, last year I was like, I don't know how the land manager will do that. I have no idea also how this land will react. And this year I'm like, it needs animals now. No, it doesn't need animals, but there is so much. We would have bitten into it.
Yes,
we would have been like,
true.
delicious. And then here, there were some parts here in this specific lower clear cut that seemed almost like 5 years behind this, or 2 years behind it, or something.
Interesting.
Where there's still so much that needs to be healed by the processes at work.
So stay tuned even more to find out the difference.
Exactly, because we don't like right now. It's just okay. These are observations. When we have the photos, it's even more interesting. And then it's let's see what the tools that we have available and the tools we decide to use will actually do when we come back next year.
I never thought I would be excited about EOV processes, and I am now.
Right, and now going back to your context, the Mediterranean context, it's even like it stays exciting. It's just a different. While here you said like you would have scored like way higher because it's compared to the Rome area. It's just so much more life. And I think we had that last year. When the others were here, when we did our little ecological monitoring workshop, everyone was like, "We wish we had that at home."
Me too.
And Anna was like, "It's not as great. It's not too great here for the Swedish context of this region." So that's basically where we would go through. We would try to see is there a pattern, is there a specific indicator, and like forbs, legumes, cool season grasses, for example. Well, staying is somewhat the same. So there's some change, some shift in species. We had the contextually undesired species where we can have a whole episode about, which have improved, but also just a bit. So main things, it's probably around bare ground, where we had like very positive ones, and now we still have positive and some okay, and capping has increased. So like capping is one indicator where last year there was not much seen. We also had a lot of standing water last year. And this year capping in especially expression of mosses.
Yes.
And in this case, exactly, that was my question. So when you say capping in this landscape, this means now you see mosses on the ground, like on top of the soil. Is that what we're talking about?
If any bare soil seems to be there, have been there for a longer time than just recently, it starts to become capping. But because we don't have, like in more brittle contexts, you have a very fine scale of recent capping, immature capping, mature capping, like these things, broken capping. And you can see them very clearly, these different stages, while here, not so much. So that's why I start scoring capping when I see signs that this background had been there for a longer time, which is mosses, lichen, algae. Cornfields often show algae. And then here we look mostly also for mosses, and we don't look for the singular flimsy one growing upright. We're looking more from the
carpet-like one.
Carpet-like, doormat-like. And not just if there's a bit, but if it's becoming a pattern again, if it's covering way more. And that's mostly what we found this year.
And this, to me, by the way, last few things together that you said makes sense. Meaning that it may be that last year we had a lot of more standing water, but this year we had rather dry. I mean, in this place,
No, we
it's dry.
had 3 weeks of drought,
Yeah.
basically. Yeah.
So therefore, there is really very little standing water. So it makes sense in my case that whatever bare ground last year, it became little lakes or little pools. But this year they simply instead got moss on them.
Yeah.
So that's, again, as an idea, that makes sense to me. It may be the case. Yeah.
Yeah, one question then. Where there are some water accumulation, some tiny ponds that were formed in the land, do you consider that as do you consider it at all in your evaluation as bare ground or as something else? Because if they were water accumulations last year that were not counted as bare ground, maybe this year they dried and they produced moss.
Yeah. So
asking this question because in this landscape it's quite.
Yeah, and it's a similar landscape with how do I score like big rocks, like bigger stones. So at the moment I do when it's something that cannot just be easily broken up or covered by plants, like if it's a big boulder or if it's really like a little lake, like a pond, then I don't judge it as background.
Yes.
I normally take notes.
Okay.
There was a lot of standing water in puddles, or there was a lot of big rocks, or a lot of big tree trunks, like old trunks, that don't really count for litter or living canopy in any way. And then yes, if I have a drier year, suddenly things get exposed. Because at first, so it has a chance to like get infiltrated, or at least until that, be habitat for a lot of other life around. Once it starts into movement and it actually transports soil away, then we have erosion, and then we have a bigger problem. But first, if it's like, oh no, it stands there, it nurtures everything around, I don't judge it as background.
Okay.
In this case. But yeah, that's another thing of last year being a year where we had a lot of puddles, a lot of water standing, which might have also killed some of the plants that don't really deal with that well, which then has exposed their ground, which then has been colonized by mosses, which are great. And so the interesting thing is what happens next.
Yeah.
Is this a process that is fine and healing? Or is this something where we're like, okay, we leave it like this, we believe that with the management we're doing something good, we assume we are wrong, so next year we monitor, and maybe in between, you monitor, in a way, to like, is this staying okay? Or do we assume we're wrong, we're watching like, oh, it might be getting worse. So maybe I need to make a shift in my management. But we will know last year. We will know last year if we do it.
I tried to send you the Google Earth file that I have for the grazing, but it stopped the recording, so I will not do that again. But I will do it afterwards. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, like, it might be a whole second episode on like how actually to analyze and make sense of things.
Will be interesting
once we have them away. And then what we do next is dove in from like average of the whole land base, average of the sites compared to each other, average like indicators compared to each other. And then the next step would be that we actually go into like looking at like the specific sites and then be able to see comparison of like how does it look like. I did not copy in yet. I didn't have the time yet to copy in here the current year because then you also have again all the indicators available, and I didn't copy in yet the water cycle. But this is basically then the next layer that we're getting into when we're diving into like, oh, let's look at this specific site. Let's have just a visual comparison and then have the data comparison. And we see site 4 had last year -20, and if we go, site 4 has now +20.
Okay.
So we do have an improvement in the clear cut one. And it's a lot about life canopy abundance is better. We have more living organisms present by it. We have the grasses look way healthier. Here we found grasses, but we didn't find the key species, and it was okay. But this year we did find some indicator species for the clear cut. So we had way more. We start to get a positive expression in just the three first indicators already to a positive side on this clear cut. Clear cut 1, like which is our short-term site number 4.
Well, once you are done with this, I'm thinking like we can really have even third episode maybe with also. We are gonna make an assessment of the land through RegenSense also, and they don't know those data. I will not give them those data. I will just like give them the key ML file. But then once we got that data and like to sit together with EOV data and to compare, I mean, already quite interesting. Like I'm curious how it's gonna be.
Yeah, and especially where the differences are in, because when we walked through the whole clear card, we would see and feel different things that might then influence the scoring, and it might not be seen in a pixel, basically, or it's good enough, basically, in a way. We'll see, basically, what happens.
Yeah, those data do not like confirm each other, but more like just interesting to understand.
And that's something that Bridget says to me all the time when she observes me working with land managers. It's like they're interested in this, but they're mostly interested in spending a day with me walking their land, and then while looking at specific things, specific indicators, while looking how the grasses are doing, talking about completely other topics, like farm, land-based connected, but like how are you doing economically? How is the grazing going? How did you go on holiday? What are other worries that you have when you see also your land in a way? So that's why the data, the remote sensing data, might get very close to it, and then comes the human component of like how do we combine this that the value actually gets like
juicy stuff.
Yes, the juicy stuff. Cool. So I will finish this, and then we can, together with the grazing data, then actually make sense around like where we see improvement, what kind of management has happened there. And management can also be like, we didn't do anything, because that's a decision to not do something.
You spoiled already my hidden formula for most parts.
Exactly. Because that might also sometimes be very good to like not overact, like we have to like micromanage, like maybe in the bigger, just let it rest maybe for half a year or something. I'll send this, I'll include you in this, or I'll put it on a shared drive, and then we can look into it. Probably not with you, because you will be gone, or we get you via Zoom.
Okay.
Yeah, that will be fun.
Do you have any other question, observation, thoughts when seeing this, listening to this?
Just a general insight for myself. I somehow liked last year when you introduced me to EOV first time. I thought it was very interesting. Now, having done the monitoring with you on the site seemed even more interesting, and all those details to look at, I really liked the process. And I feel like it could be dangerously becoming like a dependency. Like next year, I want to be here for this monitoring, the third year, and I'm curious about the results. And then I'm very curious about what the land manager thinks about it, what he did since last year that made these results happen here, or nothing, maybe.
Yeah.
So I'm really also curious about seeing that link between the management and the results on the site. and also about planning, land manager decisions and
Yeah.
planning that will be based on this. So the entire process I find very interesting,
Yeah.
and thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you for your patience and all the detailed explanations.
But like I described, you not just go into a relationship with the land, the specific one, like overall of the specific one, but you really want this to thrive,
Yeah.
and with the humans who manage this land, and it becomes maybe not an addiction, but it becomes this like, I have to let someone else do this next year. I don't, but I have to because I just cannot make it there. And I feel like that's this relationship building, this care that we have suddenly for each other and for that's what makes me excited about this.
Yeah.
And I'm also very curious.
I think the word that's in my mind is connection. The EOV process, the way I see it currently, is about connection between the monitor and the land manager and the land manager and the monitor, and with the entire ecosystem.
Yeah.
It creates a bond. Even I was bonded with this land while doing this process.
And I'm pretty sure you will be here next year.
We'll see.
Cool. Stay tuned for part 2.